In reaction to an interview that Paul had given in the music magazine Melody Maker, which has since been discontinued, published in November 1971, the late Beatles hero wrote a letter to his bandmate, who was 80 years old, in which he expressed his anger about the financial issues that were associated with the band's breakup. John, who was shot dead at the age of 40 in 1980, is quoted in the letter as saying that Paul, all over us in public. This letter provides a sharp look into the worsening relationship between the two individuals, which occurred after the Beatles had broken up more than a year earlier. Richard Williams, the editor of Melody Maker, was pushed by John to publish the 3-page letter, which is going to be sold by Gotter Have Rock and Roll. It is estimated that the letter would make 5 figures. Along with accusing Paul of being ungrateful for the money he earned from the Beatles, the singer also accuses Paul of threatening Ringo Starr and his wife Maureen. The Imagine hitmaker is shown in the note expressing his anger toward Paul. The following is an excerpt from the letter. It's all very well playing simple, honest old human Paul in the Melody Maker, but you know damn well that we can't just sign a piece of paper at this point. You say that John is not going to do it. As long as you promise to protect us from the tax collector, I will. We will meet you whenever you want, as I and we have stated numerous times. Try to change your thoughts. In addition to stating that Ringo and George are going to break you, John, you also stated that you would sue us again if we did not comply with your demands and that you would not sell to us under any circumstances. However, on that particular day, I was being completely honest with you, and you attempted to discredit me by using your emotional logic. Who the hell took us to court and all over us in public if you are not considered to be the aggressor, as you claim to be? Who is the individual who is threatening to finish Ringo and Maureen, who was speaking to me on the phone 2 weeks ago? Who was it who said he would get us no matter what the cost? Did you ever consider the possibility that you might be wrong on something, as I've mentioned in the past? With songs such as Let It Be and Hey Jude among their repertoire, John Lennon and Paul McCartney are widely regarded as one of the most successful songwriting duos in the history of world music. Additionally, in the letter, he expressed his displeasure with Paul's criticism of his solo song Imagine and criticized him for his hesitation regarding the Beatles' breakup. He also went on to encourage his former bandmate to meet with him in person. Lastly, John included a postscript in which he criticized Paul for claiming that their wives, Linda McCartney and Yoko Ono, were not included in the feud against them. In his letter, he wrote, "The part that puzzled us the most was the request to meet without Linda and Yoko. I bet you're a camper. Let's not, however, go too far. My name is JOHNANDYOKO, and I assumed you would have grasped that by now." Even though the two men had a sour relationship after the breakup of the Beatles, they had managed to mend their friendship by the time John's untimely death occurred, which left Paul in a state of profound sadness. Julian and Sean Lennon, John's sons by wives Cynthia and Yoko, joined Stella McCartney for a party following the debut of the documentary series Get Back in the previous year. This demonstrates that the Lennon and McCartney families are on terms that are quite amicable at the present time. In the meantime, Paul disclosed in November, during an on-stage interview at London's South Bank Centre, that he never got around to telling John Lennon that he loved him. This revelation was made during the band's performance. Instead, I simply said, "John, I love you, man. I never did that. I never got around to doing it. I just now came to the realization that I adore this man a great deal. I just remember how great it was to work with him and how great he was because you are not messing around here, you are not just singing with Joe Bloggs," he remarked, despite the fact that he had described his youth with John Lennon as being like walking up a staircase side by side. "This is John Lennon and you singing together."